Not long ago, I met a man in his early 60s. He told me that, lately, when he drove at night, he could not pick up things along the sides of the road as quickly as before. It was not dangerous, he said, but it was enough for him to feel that something had changed. He mentioned a few dinners with his family. When he picked up the menu, his eyes needed a moment to settle before the words became clear. It was not real trouble. He could still see, just a little slower than he used to. And because it happened more than once, he wanted to understand what was going on. If you have ever felt a moment like that, a small pause in your vision, you may know the feeling he was talking about. Many people think it is only age, but sometimes the truth is, it comes from tissues in the eye growing weaker without us noticing. My name is Robert Ellison. Working in the clinic with many people around his age, I have learned something important. What troubles them is not a sudden drop in vision, but the sense that they must pay more attention to things that once felt effortless. The good news is this: there are familiar nutrients right inside the foods we eat each day that can help the eyes stay steady for much longer. And in today's video, I want to walk through each one, what it does for the eyes, why it matters even more after 60, and how to bring it into your meals in a simple, comfortable way. But before we talk about those nutrients, we need to understand why these changes arrive so quietly, starting from the way the eye works on the inside. You see, when people hear stories like that, many of them think right away, maybe my eyes are just getting old. But the truth is, there is a process inside the eye that very few people notice, and it matters more than we realize. Inside each eye, there is a very delicate system that drains fluid. Imagine the tiny pipes in your home that guide water in the right direction. When we are young, this system works smoothly, but after 60, the tissues around it begin to stiffen, much like an old pipe that has lost some of its flexibility. And when the fluid drains more slowly, the pressure inside the eye begins to rise. The quiet part is this: the whole process happens silently. No pain, no redness, no signal that forces you to stop. Only a few small moments needing longer to read fine print, catching an image a little slower, or noticing that the edges of your vision are not as clear as before. Changes that small feel harmless. So many people ignore them, and they only come in when things become clearer than they would like. But once you understand what is happening underneath, everything begins to make sense. These changes do not appear out of nowhere. They have a cause. And the truth is, this stage of life still offers many ways to support the eyes, to slow this process, and to keep your vision steady for much longer. In the clinic, I often tell people one simple thing. Our goal is not to make the eyes feel 20 years old again. It is to keep every day seeing effortless reading a sign, seeing a step, recognizing a familiar face without strain. The good news is this: the right nutrients can support the very tissues that are growing weaker. Some help with inflammation, some protect collagen in the eye, and some guard the macula. And the remarkable part is that most of them come from foods we already know. So now, we will look at each nutrient one by one, because once you understand them, you will know exactly what your eyes are asking for. Once we understand that process, the natural next step is to support the tissues that are slowing down. And the first nutrient, the one most people already know, is omega-3. I often hear the same kind of story from patients over 50. They do not say their vision has dropped. What they notice is that bright lights tire their eyes more easily, especially headlights at night. It is not painful. The light just seems to linger a little longer, and the eyes need a moment to settle again. After it happens a few times, they begin to pay attention. When I review their meals, a clear pattern shows up. There are almost no fatty fish or omega-3 rich nuts and seeds. Yet in the eye, omega-3 connects directly to the tissues that guide the response to light and ease inflammation around the retina. When it is missing, those natural reactions slow down by a small beat. I remember a man I had followed for many years. He still drove every evening. Then one season, he noticed he had to blink longer when he faced an oncoming headlight. "Not serious," he said. but enough to make him pause. When we looked at his meals, he had stopped eating salmon and other omega-3 foods for months. We made only simple changes, fish a few times a week, a little flaxseed or handful of walnuts at breakfast. A few weeks later, he came back. He said the biggest change was not seeing brighter, but feeling less tired when driving at night. The lights no longer stayed in his vision as long as before. These changes match exactly what we know about omega-3. It eases tiny pockets of inflammation, helps blood flow to the retina, and supports the way the eye adjusts between light and dark. What I appreciate about omega-3 is how familiar it is. Salmon, mackerel, walnuts, flaxseed, nothing complicated. Just bringing them back into your meals on a steady rhythm. And once that foundation is in place, the eye responds to light more naturally again, especially at night. Right after omega-3, the next nutrient I want you to notice is vitamin C, because it connects directly to the frame of the eye, the collagen that keeps it steady, strong, and able to handle pressure as we grow older. Vitamin C may sound familiar, but in the eye, its role is larger than many people realize. If omega-3 supports the way the eye responds to light, vitamin C connects directly to the frame of the eye, the collagen that keeps it steady, clear, and able to handle pressure as we grow older. After 60, collagen does not rebuild as quickly as before. I often explain that it is like a door frame used for many years. It still does its job, but it is not as flexible as it once was. When that frame weakens, the eyes tire more easily, dry out faster, and sometimes lose that feeling of seeing clearly the moment you look. What I see often is that many people believe they get enough vitamin C. They think an occasional glass of orange juice is all they need. But when we look closely at their meals, the actual amount is much lower, especially in those who rarely eat fresh vegetables or skip fruit during the day. I remember a patient who told me his eyes did not hurt and did not turn red. They just felt heavy sooner in the day when he read for a long time. Nothing serious, he said, just a sense that his eyes ran out of energy earlier. We added one small serving of fruit each day, a few slices of orange, some cherry tomatoes, or half a grapefruit. A few weeks later, he said the heaviness eased, and he could read longer without stopping. Vitamin C does not sharpen vision right away. It works like a foundation that helps collagen stay steady in the eye, something especially important when eye pressure tends to rise with age. And right after vitamin C, there is a mineral I find many people lack, even though it supports the strength of the optic nerve and helps the eyes see more clearly at night. That mineral is zinc, a nutrient concentrated in the macula and vital in protecting the eye from oxidative stress. Zinc is a nutrient I find many people over 60 are low in, even though its role in the eye is very clear. In the macula, the place that helps us see detail, read small print, and recognize faces, zinc is present in much higher amounts than in other areas. It works like a quiet source of energy that helps the optic nerve process images steadily, especially in low light. Many of my patients do not come in saying, "My eyes have become much worse." What they describe are small, everyday changes. When they move from a bright room to a dimmer one, their eyes take a few extra seconds to adjust. Or when they drive at night, the dark space between lights on the road makes them feel less confident than before. These small things are common signs of low zinc because this mineral supports antioxidant activity and plays a key part in night vision. When we look at their eating habits, I often see one pattern. Many have cut back on beans and seeds, sometimes simply because they no longer feel like familiar foods. But those foods are important natural sources of zinc, black beans, chickpeas, and pumpkin seeds. I remember a patient who told me he had to turn on the lights earlier because the dark comes too fast for my eyes. No pain, no blurring, just the sense that his eyes needed more time to settle into the dark. When he began adding a small serving of chickpeas to his lunch, or using pumpkin seeds instead of a sweet snack, just a few weeks later, he told me his night vision felt much steadier. Zinc does not create a sudden change, but it helps the optic nerve work with more strength, and it helps the eye respond in dim light the way it once did. And after zinc, we come to vitamin E, a nutrient that acts like a layer of protection for the most sensitive cells in the retina, yet is often forgotten in daily meals. Vitamin E is a nutrient I often describe to patients as the shield of the retina. Our eyes are exposed to strong light every day and to the oxidative stress that comes from simply seeing. The cells in the retina are among the most sensitive in the entire body. Vitamin E helps protect those cells, like easing the load the eyes carry each day. What's interesting is this. Most older patients I meet are not trying to avoid vitamin E. They simply stop using butter, almonds, or olive oil because they want meals to feel lighter or less fatty. But those foods are natural sources of vitamin E, and without them, the eyes may tire more quickly when looking at screens, reading for long periods, or stepping out into bright sunlight. I remember a patient who told me his eyes felt worn out by late afternoon, even though mornings were fine, not blurry, not painful, just a sense that the eyes lost energy earlier than before. When we talked about his meals, his breakfast was only coffee and a piece of bread, and lunch was very simple. We added one small change, a handful of almonds in the afternoon, or olive oil instead of frying oil. That was all. A few weeks later, he came back and said his eyes no longer tired as fast, especially at the end of the day. That is when vitamin E often shows its benefit most clearly, because it helps retinal cells handle the oxidative stress that builds up throughout the day. What I appreciate about vitamin E is that it does not require a high dose or expensive supplements. A small portion from food is enough for the eyes to benefit. And right after vitamin E, we come to two nutrients that often work as a pair: lutein and zeaxanthin. They act like natural filters for light, especially important for people who drive at night or feel sensitive to glare. Lutein and zeaxanthin are a pair I always mention together, because in the eye, they almost always sit side by side. They are most concentrated in the macula, a very small area in the center of the retina that allows us to see fine detail, read print, and recognize faces. You can think of them as a natural filter. When strong light hits the eye, especially blue light from screens or headlights at night, this filter helps soften the part of the light that tires the retina. It does not make the image darker. It simply eases the strain after many hours of use. Many people over 60 tell me the same thing. They can still see clearly, but glare bothers them more than before, especially in the evening, or when stepping indoors after being in bright sunlight. Their eyes need a few extra moments to adjust. Changes like these often match the gradual drop in lutein and zeaxanthin as we age. The good news is that we do not have to look far. These nutrients are found in eggs, especially the yolk, and in leafy greens like spinach. A few servings each week can make a real difference. Some patients tell me that after adding eggs or greens to their meals, their eyes feel less sensitive to light, especially when driving late in the day. When this pair works alongside omega-3 vitamin C, vitamin E, and zinc, the eyes receive support on many levels, from blood flow to connective tissue to the optic nerve, and finally the macula itself, where clear vision truly begins. And once we understand why these nutrients matter, the next step is bringing them into familiar meals in a way that feels natural and easy to follow. When we talk about supporting the eyes, I like to begin with everyday food, not special recipes, not dishes we make once or twice and then forget. The key is adding things to daily meals in a natural, easy way. One breakfast many people enjoy is avocado egg toast. A slice of toasted bread, a little avocado, one egg. It sounds simple, yet it carries nearly all the nutrients the eyes after 50 truly rely on. Avocado is a natural source of vitamin E. And if you remember, vitamin E acts like a gentle layer that protects sensitive cells in the retina. Many patients once thought they needed something complicated, when in fact, a few slices of avocado at breakfast can offer real support. Eggs are special because the yolk contains lutein and zeaxanthin. I once told a patient that a single egg can provide a natural amount that helps the macula stay steady. He laughed and said, "I have eaten eggs my whole life and never knew they did anything for my eyes." And if you want the toast to be a bit more complete, a small sprinkle of pumpkin seeds can help. Pumpkin seeds are rich in zinc, a mineral that helps the optic nerve work clearly, especially in lower light. When avocado, egg, and pumpkin seeds come together, you have a familiar meal that supports the eyes on several levels: the connective tissues, the macula, and the optic nerve, a light breakfast, with each part playing a role in keeping the eyes comfortable and steady through daily activities. And the best part is that you do not need to change your routine. One small adjustment to your morning meal, and the eyes receive meaningful support. Next, I want to share a dish many people enjoy for its convenience and its cooling. Gentle taste, a smoothie that brings together three important groups of nutrients for the eyes. The next dish I want to share is something many people enjoy on a busy morning: a simple smoothie made with orange, mango, and yogurt. It is gentle, easy to prepare, and it supports the eyes more than most people realize. Many patients tell me they are not used to eating much fruit, but a smoothie fits easily into their routine. And in the eyes, vitamin C from oranges and mango is something the body after 50 truly relies on. It helps the collagen frame stay strong, and it helps the eyes hold their rhythm during long periods of focus. When you add a little flaxseed, you create a soft, natural source of omega-3. It can help even for those who do not enjoy the taste of fish, yet want relief from quick fatigue or evening glare. The yogurt makes the blend easy to drink, and it helps the body absorb these nutrients more steadily, something the digestive system in many older adults may not handle as smoothly as before. What I like about this smoothie is that it never feels like a task. It feels like a pleasant morning habit. Yet quietly, it delivers exactly the nutrients the eyes need to stay steady. And from that morning habit, we can move to something simple for the evening meal: a black bean salad with tomatoes and a touch of olive oil. A modest dish, yet filled with nutrients the eyes after 50 truly benefit from. When people think of a black bean salad, many imagine a simple side dish. But for the eyes, the ingredients in this bowl work together in a remarkable way. Black beans are a natural source of zinc, something many people do not expect. After 50, zinc helps the optic nerve keep its sense of clarity, especially when you look in low light. I have met many patients who see well during the day, but as evening comes, things look a little softer, just a beat slower. For people like that, adding zinc from food often brings a clear, steady change. Tomatoes and a touch of lime add vitamin C. That vitamin supports the collagen around the eyes, helping them stay steady and less tired when you read or focus for long periods. And with a small drizzle of olive oil, you give the eyes a gentle source of vitamin E, a nutrient that protects the most sensitive cells in the retina. What I appreciate about this salad is its flexibility. You can prepare it quickly for dinner and save a portion for the next day. It never feels like you are forcing yourself to eat a certain way. It feels fresh, simple, and it quietly brings exactly the nutrients the eyes after 50 truly rely on. And now that we have walked through these three familiar dishes, this is a good moment to look back and understand why these nutrients matter so much for people over 60. When we look back at those three familiar dishes, there is something I hope you notice. They are not helpful by coincidence. They fit the eyes after 50 or 60 for a very clear reason. As we reach 60, oxidative stress in the eyes rises quite a bit. I often describe it as a window that has faced sunlight for many years. It does not crack, and it does not change shape, but the surface becomes easier to harm. At that stage, vitamin C, vitamin E, and zinc matter more than ever. They help quiet those silent effects, and they keep the tissues in the eye working in a steady rhythm. At the same time, collagen, the frame that supports the eye, begins to decline. Many patients tell me they do not understand why their eyes tire faster or feel drier, even though their habits stay the same. But when collagen does not rebuild as it once did, the tiny tasks inside the eye, once effortless, begin to require a little more work. This is why vitamin C plays such a key role. Blood flow to the eyes also slows with age, and this is where omega-3 does something helpful. It supports the flow of blood into the retina, and it eases inflammation in small areas we cannot feel. but that's shaped the way our eyes respond to light. And finally, the macula, the spot that lets you see detail, grows more sensitive to bright light over time. This is the moment when lutein and zeaxanthin act as a natural shield. They help you drive at night with more comfort and read longer without strain. When you understand these quiet changes, you begin to see why a simple, steady diet can make such a difference for the eyes after 60. When you look back at all those changes, you begin to see something very clearly. The eyes after 60 do not go downhill all at once. They are simply reacting to quiet shifts in the body, shifts we can support when we start in the right place. Many people tell me they feel overwhelmed when they hear about changing their diet or adding many nutrients. But the truth is, you do not have to do everything at once. You only start with one small step and let the body adjust in its own time. I once worked with a patient who said he could not remember a long list of what to eat. So we chose just one thing to begin with. Add one eye-friendly food each day, only one. And after a few weeks, he noticed his eyes felt less tired when he read the morning paper. It was not magic. It was simply his body responding to something it had been missing for a long time. If you are wondering where to start this week, the answer is not a complicated list. It is choosing one dish that feels easiest for you. Maybe a slice of toast with avocado and egg, maybe a morning smoothie, or a simple salad with dinner. Along with that, keeping blood sugar and blood pressure steady matters just as much. These two things directly affect the tiny blood vessels in the eyes vessels we never feel, but that shape how stable our vision stays over the years. And of course, regular eye checkups remain the foundation. No need for worry, just a way to understand your eyes and care for them in a more active, gentle way. Right after this, I want to share with you a very personal message, something I often say to my own patients, so they know their eyes still hold so much potential to feel better, no matter their age. When I share all of this with you, what I hope most is that you feel eye care after 60 is not heavy at all. The eyes do not ask us to change our whole life. They only need a few good choices, repeated each day small things that can keep vision clear and gentle longer than you may expect. Through many years of work, I have learned that lasting change always begins with one simple habit. Add one eye-friendly food to your meals, keep an eye on blood pressure, have your vision checked from time to time. When you start there, the body adjusts, the eyes respond, and you may feel your stability return sometimes in just a few weeks. If these thoughts help you understand your eyes a little better, or help you feel more at ease, that means a lot to me. And if you feel someone in your family, or among your friends, or in your community might benefit from this, you can share this video with them. It is a small gesture, but a meaningful one, to help someone care for their own eyes. And if you'd like to continue with me on topics of health in our middle and later years, from nutrition to sleep to keeping the body comfortable each day, you can follow the channel so you don't miss what comes next. I'm always grateful to have you here, because caring for ourselves was never something we had to do alone.